To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You here with me?
Yeah.
Good morning. Please be seated. Good morning. My name is Gary Palmer. I'm the president and CEO here at Prairie Meadows. With me today is Angela Conley, the chair of the Polk County Board of Supervisors. We partner in a lot of things in our community, and we're very proud to be here today saluting our veterans on this great Veterans Day, 2022. On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, our Board of Directors, our entire teams, we want to salute the veterans today and thank them for what they've done for us. We appreciate everything that's done. As a veteran myself, it's near and dear to all of us celebrating what the veterans do for us, past and present. Millions of American veterans have honored us with their service. On November 11th, we set aside a special day to honor our veterans and to thank you all for what you've done for us. We thank all veterans everywhere for your service, an act of generosity that can never be repaid. And our special thanks to our employees who are veterans and their loved ones who are on active duty. There are countless ways to show your appreciation. One of the most simple and universal ways to show our appreciation to veterans is just to say thank you. So thank you this morning. At Prairie Meadows, we see the importance of honoring our veterans. And one way for us to give back is to have this celebration today. Prairie Meadows has a long history of celebrating our veterans. We've done quite a few things through the years celebrating and helping our veterans. Honor flights, we sponsored 2 or 3 honor flights, and we've been guardians going with our veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the World War II monument, Vietnam, Korea, and it's been a pleasure for us to do that. We've also teamed up with American Legion, helping needy veterans needing food and clothing. We've done that for a number of years as well. Here at Prairie Meadows, and Polk County has helped us as well, we've teamed up with Elite Casinos, which have 3 casinos in Iowa as well, on what they call the GIVE program. It's golf for injured veterans everywhere. We supply training, golfing, golf clubs, golf balls, and we have a fundraiser every year for this great association of GIVE. And we're proud to be doing that every year. And it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And to see the joy on these veterans that have been paralyzed or wounded during wartime, going out, learning golf, playing with their friends is unbelievable. The joy we get out of that. It's a great experiment for all of us. And we're proud to be able to do that. Also, we were one of the first, in this area anyway, with Casey's, to sponsor Wreaths Over America. That's putting Christmas wreaths at the cemetery, the Veterans Cemetery in Van Meter. We've done that now for, I think, the past 10 years. And we're very proud to be part of that as well. To our clients, business partners, and colleagues in our industry who have proudly served our country, my appreciation extends to you and your families on this Veterans Day. Thank you very much to all the veterans that are here today. We are grateful for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Well, this is a great moment for all of us to be here today, and on behalf of all of Polk County and our 1,500 employees, we want to thank each and every one of you for our veterans sitting on our audience today. As Gary mentioned, Polk County and Prairie Meadows have been partners for 32 years, and together upholding a long-term goal of promoting economic development, jobs, and tourism for our community. We're proud to say that through our dynamic partnership, we have delivered over $2.1 billion in taxes and financial support to the state of Iowa. And I'm proud that a large portion of those funds, over $500,000 just from Polk County alone, have gone to support veterans through our community, nonprofits, some of the VFWs. I can name hundreds of things that we promote at Polk County, helping our veterans and those services. Today is a day, though, just for you, and for that, we're thankful. For us to honor you, for us to show you our gratitude for what you have done for our country, and for us to celebrate your victories, and for us to remember those who were lost during serving the greater good. But most importantly, each and every day should be one where we live our lives in a manner that reflects what you fought so hard for. We can honor you each and every day by promoting freedom, equality, and peace. So to all of our veterans, thank you for your service, especially my father who served in the Korean War and my brother in the Vietnam War, and to those in the audience. And thank you, Gary, and those up here with us. If someone from your family is serving in our country in one of the armed services today, thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for our country. We recognize and honor you this Veterans Day. Now, Gary and I would like to pay tribute to all the branches of the military as we play the official song of your military branch. Please stand so that we can honor you. Definitely one of my favorite parts of the program today. All right, now it's my honor to have with us some local officials who would like to pay honor to our veterans and have joined us on stage. The first one is State Senator Nate Bolton.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you to everyone who is here, every service member, every veteran, and all those who came to celebrate those who have served. We thank every one of you for joining us today. Our veterans and our active duty service members truly make our community special. As a longtime Sons of the American Legion member myself, I'm proud of my family's military history. I have 2 nephews currently serving in the Marines, a grandfather who served in the Army Reserve, a great-grandfather who fought in World War I on behalf of the Allies as a Royal Welsh Fusilier. On Veterans Day, I like to talk about our history, and I mentioned some of this history at this event last year. But think about the very beginning foundation of our state of Iowa. Iowa was a state essentially born into the defense of our republic. Less than 20 years after Iowa became a state, the Civil War had started, and it was Iowans who answered the call to defend our republic. More Iowans per capita than any other state in the nation entered into the U.S. Army for that conflict. The battles weren't in our backyards, they weren't on our farms, but we answered the call. And Iowans have answered the call ever since. And when Iowans came home from that conflict and came home from war after war, our citizens have been here to be sure that they are given the honor they deserve. And that is a tradition that will continue as well. As the commitment of our citizens have been strong to answer the call of public service, our commitment as a legislature also has to meet that level of commitment to better the lives of those who answer the sacred call of duty to our country. We have worked in a bipartisan manner to expand veterans' benefits. We've acted on many levels to make Iowa a better place for veterans to come home to with their families, to encourage returning service members to make Iowa their forever home, to ensure they receive the education and job opportunities and quality of life they deserve. This morning I was at a breakfast program in Pleasant Hill where I spoke with several veterans about what issues are important to them and what things we need to do to make sure we're taking care of them. Because Iowans have put themselves in harm's way, deserve our care and attention as public officials. They don't just deserve our gratitude, they deserve our dedicated support. And the concerns I heard today were not new. We can and should do more to help military families, not just the service members, but those who serve with them, who uproot their lives in support of their spouses and raise their families. We need to do what we can to support those family members. We need to do what we can to support those who have suffered military disabilities and re-enter the workforce. We need to do what we can to make sure the VA benefits get to who needs them and they're of a quality benefit commensurate with the service of those who deserve it. And we need to recruit the next generation of qualified individuals to answer the call of service to our country. We have a heavy burden that we place on military families to provide the next generation of service members. We need to do our part to make sure we expand that base of support so we are here in 20 and 30 years from now celebrating the great work and achievements of our future military service members. So today I pledge to you to keep up that work, to work with and for our service members, our veterans, and their families to make sure that our state does all we can to not just thank you for your service, but to respect your service by answering your call to duty with our commitment. Thank you all for being here, and thank you for letting me be part of your program.
Thank you, Nate. Next, we have State Senator Zach Nunn to speak, say a few words.
Well, thank you, veterans, and thank you to the family members of our veterans who are with us here today. And special thanks to our members from the U.S. Navy. I've never seen so many naval officers without a good contingent of Marines backing you up, so we're privileged to have you here today. You're going to get to hear more from the skipper here soon. On the 11th day of the 11th month, the 11th hour, the Great War ended. And so over 100 years ago, we still remember what Veterans Day means, not just to those who served in the First World War, but to those who have served as guardians for our country since its inception at the first days of Concord and Lexington. Friends, we are all part of a legacy that is great about America. And whether you served in uniform, were a spouse, a son, or a daughter, a mother or a father, a brother or a sister of a veteran who served, or whether you're a proud American who recognizes the importance of our veterans and their service, we have much to be grateful for today. Now, many of you have served overseas on the active duty and our reserve components and in our own Iowa National Guard, both the Air and the Army side. But we each have a special responsibility going forward as citizens of the United States to respect those who went before us and to assist those who continue to serve. I was privileged to be the great-great-grandson of a young private from Iowa, as Nate highlighted, who went to serve in the Civil War, came back home, and started a family farm here in Iowa. My grandfather served in World War II as a Purple Heart veteran at the Battle of the Bulge. My other grandfather served in Korea. My father and his brother-in-law served in Vietnam, and like my brother who served in Iraq, I had the privilege of serving combat tours, watching the air skies over him in Iraq and Afghanistan. These are not tributes we make because we are proud of war, but because we are honored to be able to defend our communities right here at home. And so as we go forward on this very sacred Veterans Day, let us each take a moment to share our stories, to remember those who have gone before us, and to celebrate the opportunity not just of those serving, but of those young people who will be serving behind us. We have a sacred responsibility not only to honor those who have given their life for this country, but to make sure that this country is safer, responsible, and building for the future of those who will put their life on the line going forward. So this Veterans Day, thank you for your service. Thank you for your commitment. And most of all, thank you for making this country a free beacon of hope for the world over. It is an honor to get to serve with you, and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Senator. Next, we have State Representative Brian Losey.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you to Prairie Meadows for hosting this event today and for the privilege of addressing you all today. As you all know, Veterans Day was originally known as Armistice Day, created for the purposes of celebrating and honoring veterans of World War I. After being officially recognized as a holiday in 1938, the day was expanded to honor all veterans after World War II and became Veterans Day in 1954 by act of Congress. Today, we honor the men and women who have served this great nation in the military. But it is right that we also honor them for more than just their service during the time in service in the armed forces. Zach Nunn, in one of his political ads, talked about how the military instills in its members the virtue of service above self. It's a hallmark of service. During your time in service, you are taught to serve your brothers in arms above yourself, your branch of the military, your country, all above self. But that virtue doesn't end when you're discharged. Recently, I've been reading a book that contains a series of radio addresses given by President Reagan between 1976 and 1980. During a number of those speeches, he spoke of a veteran who, after World War II, along with his wife, made it their mission in life to help men and women and families escape out of East Germany to a free life in the West. They put their service to others, done at great risk to themselves, above their own safety and comfort. Veterans live out this virtue all across our communities in so many ways. In the Iowa House, I'm privileged to serve along so many veterans and from both sides of the political aisle. Your continued service shows up in countless ways in our communities. We are here today with a number of first responders, firefighters, police officers, many of whom are veterans. I'd like to talk to you about one in particular. Greg Stallman serves as police chief here in the city of Altoona. Greg joined the Marine Corps in 1986 and was on active duty until 1992. By the way, happy birthday, Marine Corps, as of yesterday. There you go. While in the Marines, Greg trained as a combat engineer. After the Marines while in college, Greg continued his service in the United States Army Reserves with the 530th Military Police Battalion in counterintelligence until May of 1995. He deployed to Saudi Arabia in August of 1990 and eventually became Obstacle Clearing Detachment Platoon Sergeant, say that real fast, 4th Platoon, Company C, 1st Combat Engineer Battalion attached to the 3rd Tank Battalion, Task Force Ripper. During this time in service, Greg earned numerous awards, including the Combat Action and Navy Achievement Medal with Combat Distinction Device V. Continuing to put public service above self, Greg entered public service after leaving the military. Greg got his start in the law enforcement in 1995 as a correctional officer in Woodbury County. He was later hired as a deputy, working in various capacities until eventually promoted to major. In 2017, Greg became Altoona's police chief and serves the community with honor and distinction. His only bad habit is forgetting to turn off his lights on his squad car as he drives down the road. Little inside joke, you can ask him about it later. Service above self. It's a quality and virtue instilled in you that does not end when you are discharged. You continue to serve your country and your community and those around you in so many ways. Today, for your service while in the military and for your service above self after your discharge, we honor you, we salute you, and we thank you. Enjoy your day here at Prairie Meadows, and God bless you all.
Thanks, Brian. Next, speaking of Altoona, we have the mayor of the city of Altoona, Dean O'Connor.
Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Prairie Meadows, for hosting this each year and inviting me as well. I know that there's one thing that all of us share in this room for the last 6 months, that we're tired of people like me speaking to you. So I'll keep it brief. I just, on behalf of the city of Altoona, the citizens, the city staff, the city council, and myself, appreciate the fact that Polk County and Prairie Meadows put this event on for all of you. We appreciate the service that those of you have done in the past. We appreciate the service that those of you doing now, and of course, those that will serve in the future. And so, on behalf of the city of Altoona, we appreciate all that you've done. We love you very much, and we thank you for being here.
Thank you all very much for your words. Now, we go to the next part of our program, and we are honored today to have with us the commander of the USS Iowa, Matthew Powell. Commander Powell is a U.S. Navy submariner who currently serves as the commanding officer of the PCU Iowa. He holds a bachelor's degree from Georgia Institute of Technology, a master's degree in engineering, management from Old Dominion University, and a master's degree in strategic studies. A nuclear-trained submarine officer with 14 years of operational experience, Commander Powell discovered that in his early studies in chemical engineering could take him further than he ever thought possible. Since then, Commander Powell has become an officer and a leader aboard one of the most advanced vessels in the world, a nuclear-powered submarine. The USS Iowa will have the ability to detect ships as far as 3,000 miles away, and will have a nuclear reactor that will power the submarine for its expected service life of over 3 decades. The USS Iowa submarine is expected to have sailors board it for the first time in 2023, when it proudly goes into service. The future USS Iowa will be the 4th U.S. Navy ship named for the state of Iowa, and the first since lead ship of the Iowa-class battleships, originally commissioned in 1943 and finally decommissioned in 1990. Construction is nearing completion. The USS Iowa SSN 797 has a planned christening in early 2023, followed by sea trials. As Commander Powell took command of the USS Iowa, he stated that he was humbled to have the opportunity to step into a thriving team and work alongside sailors in the coming years. We will face every challenge with vigor and optimism, and we will deliver our Navy the most powerful submarine manned by the hardest working crew. I can't wait to get started. We are very proud to have Commander Powell with us today. Please help me give him a warm welcome. Commander Powell.
Well, thank you for the warm introduction, Mr. Palmer. I'm very humbled, all these great public servants up here, and after seeing by the audience, to have the chance to speak with you today. It is really, truly an honor to be here with the great citizens, veterans, and families of Iowa, and specifically those here in Polk County. I would like to thank your team at Prairie Meadows and Ms. Connolly and all those in the Polk County office and the USS Iowa Commissioning Committee. The hard work of all your teams made this event a reality. Mayor O'Connor, State Representative Losi, State Senator Bolden, and Congressman-elect Nunn, thank you for being here today with me as well. Finally, before I get to remarks, I'd like to thank the Southeast Polk Chamber Ensemble Choir, the Polk County Sheriff's Office Color Guard, and the Boy Scout Troop Altoona 383. You honor all veterans by participating to make today special. I'd like to give them a round of applause. I am sure there are many others I should thank personally, but know that to all those who helped in making today here, I truly appreciate your efforts. We're all gathered here today to recognize and honor veterans who served, past and present. Americans' veterans have been called upon throughout history to answer the call, right injustices, and fight for freedom and democracy worldwide. Current world events show us the need for our veterans will not halt anytime soon. We see leaders in Iran who promote terrorism and violence, rogue states like North Korea taking provocative steps with their nuclear program, an increasingly assertive China, and Russia's President Putin casting an ever-widening cloud of aggression to disrupt the democratic world order. But let's take a step back from some of those world events and take a look back into the history of Veterans Day, touched on by some of the previous speakers here, and how it came to be that America honors those who would sacrifice to fight against these evils like those I mentioned. So Veterans Day origins actually reach beyond just the United States. In 1921, an unknown World War I American soldier was buried in Arlington National Cemetery. Similar ceremonies had occurred earlier in England and France, where an unknown soldier was buried in each nation's highest place of honor. In England, Westminster Abbey, and in France, the Arc de Triomphe. These memorial gestures all took place, as alluded to by our previous speakers, on November 11th, giving universal recognition to the celebrated ending of World War I fighting that ended at 11 a.m. on November 11th, 1918, the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. As mentioned, that was Armistice Day, and likely would have remained so if World War I had, in fact, remained the war to end all wars, as many had hoped. Sadly, we know that was not the case, and after World War II, efforts to continue honoring veterans continued on, but always on that same day of November 11th. In time, Armistice Day would become Veterans Day, a day which brings us to here. But seeing as how we are blessed enough to be in the great state of Iowa today, and seeing as how you happen to have the captain of the USS Iowa as the speaker here today, I figured I would take a few minutes to specifically talk about Iowa's veterans and the state's rich history of service. Veterans from Iowa have served in every major conflict since before Iowa was even a state in the Union. The history of service stems from Iowans being proud of their country and growing up understanding freedom does not come free. One need not look any further than the state seal for proof of this. Prominently depicts the citizen soldier, musket in one hand, an American flag adorned with a liberty cap in the other. Along the top, the words, "Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain." Our liberties we prize, and our rights we will maintain. It's a promise Iowans make to this nation and embodied through gallant service by its people. Approximately 622,000 Iowans served this nation since before the American Civil War through those serving in the present day. Throughout that time, 66 Iowans were awarded the highest valor medal the U.S. can give them, the Medal of Honor, and nearly 27,000 have perished in service. But it's more than the numbers. After looking into Iowa's rich history and meeting so many of the great people in this state, I am convinced Iowa's veterans and their families bring something unique to the armed services. So bear with me as I attempt to distill these unique gifts into 3 themes using some Iowa heroes from the past that best represent them. The first trait, I believe, is Iowa's persevering spirit. I think this trait stems from the strong agricultural roots here in Iowa. Iowans know what it's like to work from sunrise to sundown, day in and day out. They work each and every day, beginning the first day of planting and continuing to the last day of the harvest, never ceasing and working just as hard on that last day as they did on the first. Veterans from Iowa are no different. Merle Hay was one such veteran. Merle was from Glidden, Iowa, and voluntarily enlisted in May 1917. He was assigned to Foxtrot Company, 16th Infantry Regiment, 1st Infantry Division, and in June 1917, he shipped to France, one of the first to do so. On November 3rd, 1917, Merle and 2 others were posted in trenches near Artosis, France. Their unit was attacked, and Merle then not only became the first Iowa casualty of World War I, but the first American casualty of the war. Lance Corporal Darwin Judge of Marshalltown, Iowa, is another notable veteran that embodies this spirit. Darwin served in Vietnam and was still serving as American forces were being drawn down at the end of the war. Unfortunately, Darwin would become one of the final 2 American casualties of the war when a rocket struck his position on the last day soldiers were being withdrawn from Vietnam. Merle and Darwin show that Iowan veterans never shy away from their commitment. They will be there from the outbreak of hostilities and through the final shots fired until everyone comes home. The next trait I would like to talk about is Iowa's innovative nature and ability to break down barriers. I'll start with Fort Des Moines. A few different locations within Iowa have shared this name, but the 3rd Fort Des Moines was a military and training facility on the south side of Des Moines, established in 1901. Originally established as a cavalry base, Fort Des Moines in 1917 shifted roles and accepted the first officer candidate class of African Americans in U.S. history. These young men trained there, received commissions, and went on to serve valiantly in combat during World War I as the first African American officers in the military. Later, these officers would serve along the first medically trained African American soldiers who also trained at Fort Des Moines. Now fast forward to 1942 as the U.S. is entering World War II. Fort Des Moines yet again broke down barriers, becoming the first location where the U.S. Army trained women entering the Women's Army Corps. 800 women entered the base on that first day. They were fitted for uniforms, interviewed, assigned to companies and barracks, and inoculated against disease. These brave women would go on to serve as switchboard operators, mechanics, bakers, stenographers, armorers, and many other vital roles throughout the war. One more story before I leave this topic, because I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Marion Crandall. Marion was born in Cedar Rapids in 1872, and while not exactly a veteran, she served and sacrificed for freedom and is worthy of mention here. Marion attended Sorbonne University in Paris, and then began teaching French at St. Catherine's School in Davenport, Iowa. However, she was determined to help the Allied cause in World War I after the war broke out, and she knew her French-speaking skills would be valuable to the Allied soldiers now stationed in France. So Marion voluntarily returned to France in January 1918, where she began working at a YMCA canteen in support of the Allied troops that were there. Tragically, just 2 months later, on March 27th of 1918, her building was struck by an enemy attack. This attack made Marion the first American woman to die in combat zone during World War I. To me, her dedication to the cause and her bottomless support for the Allied soldiers is awe-inspiring, as is her ultimate sacrifice. Last trait I'd like to talk about is Iowa's character. It has been my experience that Iowans are compassionate, caring, and selfless. As I learned my first trip to this great state, many use the phrase Iowa nice to explain this humble character of Iowans. But looking at the incredible service of Iowa's veterans, I realize Iowans' true character is so much more than a simple colloquial phrase. A great example is Medal of Honor recipient John Thorson. John was the 7th of 8 children born to Norwegian immigrants and joined the U.S. Army from his birth city of Armstrong, Iowa, in 1942. By October 28, 1944, John was serving as a private first class in Golf Company, 2nd Battalion, 17th Infantry Regiment, 7th Infantry Division, and was stationed in Dagami Leyte Province in the Philippines. On that day, John came upon an enemy trench with several enemy riflemen contained inside. He attacked the trench single-handedly, but was seriously wounded. As the rest of his team began to approach, one of the enemy soldiers within that trench threw a grenade. John then, with a great final effort, and while yelling to warn the other soldiers, rolled on top of the grenade, smothering its blast and protecting the rest of his fellow soldiers. That is the extent of Iowans' character. Another example is Captain Darrell Lindsay from Jefferson, Iowa, also a Medal of Honor recipient. On August 9th, 1944, Darrell led a formation of 30 B-26 medium bombers in a hazardous mission to destroy a strategic railroad bridge held by the enemy in occupied France. The bridge was fiercely protected, a fact Darrell knew all too well before even accepting the mission. Shortly after reaching enemy territory, his formation was buffeted with heavy and accurate anti-aircraft fire. Darrell was able to elude much of the enemy flak, but just before entering the bombing run, his B-26 was peppered with holes and his right engine burst into flames. Darrell fought and succeeded in getting his aircraft back into the lead position despite the violence of the hit. Darrell knew that the gasoline tanks might explode at any moment, but he gallantly elected to continue the perilous bombing run. With fire streaming from his right engine and his right wing half enveloped in flames, he led his formation over the target, and the bombs were dropped with telling effect. The attack complete, Darrell gave the order for the crew to parachute from the doomed aircraft. With magnificent coolness and superb piloting, and without regard for his own life, he held the swiftly descending airplane in a steady glide until the members of the crew could jump to safety. Immediately after the last crew member had bailed out, the right gasoline tank exploded, engulfing the plane in flames as it plummeted towards the ground. All the crewmen from that plane that lived after that day owed their lives to the fact that Captain Lindsay remained cool and showed supreme courage in such an emergency. These men, John Thorson and Darrell Lindsay, and many other Iowa veterans, personify the very best of human nature and selflessly sacrifice for their brothers and sisters in arms. Today, every soldier, sailor, Marine, airman, Guardian, and Coast Guardsman is better for it. And so we thank Iowa's veterans, and indeed all veterans, for their service. We praise their persevering spirit, their innovative nature, and their impeccable character. We honor their sacrifices as we honor their friends and families, because we know the sacrifices of the loved ones around us, their love, their support and devotion make every veteran's service possible. Finally, we tip our hat and say a silent prayer for those veterans currently deployed or on the front lines today. They could not be present with us today because they are actively serving this nation, putting themselves between us and those who would stamp out freedom and democracy. Those men and women, as well as the veterans present here, the veterans who served before us, and the veterans yet to come, understand the importance of answering the call to service, not to promote war, but to preserve peace. Thank you very much.
Commander Powell, we're honored to have you with us today. Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your serving our country. And to those veterans with us today, our heartfelt appreciation to all that you've done for the service of our country. Your dedication and commitment to the ideals of our democracy are an inspiration. May we all work together to aspire to those ideals as a way to honor your service and your sacrifice. Lastly, thank to all the local officials for joining us today. Thank you so much to the Southeast Polk Chamber Ensemble, the Boy Scouts, the Sheriff's Color Guard. Thank you for everyone to show up today and celebrate and help us salute our veterans. Be sure to grab a free lunchbox and enjoy listening to Ragdoll Incident up in our Finish Line Lounge if you have time today. May God bless all who served and still do. May God bless the United States of America. Thank you so much.